And welcome everybody back to the Phantom Zone for a brand new 2022 review. Hopefully this new intro was awesome. I think it turned out okay. Just messing around and experimenting, maybe doing different music and intros for various movies, depending on what the movie is and the genre and things like that. But I thought I'd start off 2022 with a 2021 review that slipped my radar. Came out towards the end of 2021, and I had a lot of things going on, so I didn't get to this. So if you noticed, I said this was an untitled horror movie review, but that is the name. It is called Untitled Horror Movie. What this film is found footage, but not quite. It is shot with laptops and cell phones, but it's really crystal clear and very well done, and it's because the movie's premise is that it's a bunch of actors who are a part of a big show. They all work together, and the show is looking like it's going to be canceled. And one of the protagonists is looking to make his own film, and asked his actors and a fellow writer and his co-stars to help him out with this movie. He wants to capitalize on the found footage genre. So this movie is really a mixture of comedy and horror, but more towards dark comedy than really horror. And I found it quite interesting new take on the found footage genre. This movie is very much more of a character-driven film than it is a horror-driven film. And what I mean by that is, instead of using a lot of horror elements, it uses comedic elements. It also, you actually get to know the people. So a big problem I have with found footage is that there's supposed to be spooky and scary events brought to us, of course, by the perspective of camera. And throughout this, you get tidbits of people giving information, of people talking to each other, but there's not really much building beyond that. So when stuff starts happening, it's hard to get invested in the characters because it's all from the perspective of like a camcorder or something like this. This is a nice mixture of laptop and like cell phone calls and things like that. But very early on, you get a sense of who these people are. And basically, they're all narcissistic asshole actors and actresses. And I like it that the movie is self-aware and pokes fun of, like, what actors and actresses would be like. This film feels very much like it's not a typical movie. Like, the director, who also stars in the film, said, hey, I'm going to turn on the camera and you guys just talk how you would talk outside of work. That's what it feels like. So you get very early on a sense of how the actors portray themselves on screen where they're acting, because the premise of the movie is they're acting this horror movie out, and by acting it, they actually summon some kind of spirit or something like that. But because they're so narcissistic and vain, they don't believe it's actually happening until some stuff starts to happen towards the middle of the movie. It's an hour and 26 minutes, and it feels very quick and to the point, but it gives the viewers enough time to really understand who these people are. And in a strange way, you kind of start to like them and their different personalities. There's like, I believe like 5 people in this film. All 5 of them build enough of a backstory for you to understand their archetype, what kind of person they are, who they portray themselves on television, social media, and like as we're watching the movie, like them actually talking to each other without acting, like just when stuff goes down, like normal phone call conversations. And I really appreciate it. This is by far one of the most thought out found footage movies in quite some time. I think this movie, and there's bloopers at the end of it you can watch, but it looks like a movie where the people enjoyed shooting it, and it feels like they didn't actually act, but just were themselves on camera, and that really comes through in the performances. So when stuff actually happens, especially towards the end, you start to get a feeling like, oh wow, like, that's hilarious. Now, my only issue with this whole entire movie is the ending, and I'm not going to spoil the ending because you can watch this free on Amazon Prime. I felt like the end lent into too much of the comedy, where they really could have capped it off midpoint and started steering more towards serious. Like, I thought that the comedy towards the ending kind of downplayed the rest of the movie, because there's a midpoint shift where they got a good balance between comedy and the horror stuff happening. And I think the ending would have been a little bit more impactful had they kind of cut it at a certain thing that happened, and a person in the call didn't have a last-minute comment that was kind of like, haha, comedy. But other than that, it was a well-put-together movie. I really enjoyed it. And I think while not breaking the mold, I think this does something different and unique to establish itself outside of this tired, beaten-to-death genre of these found footage movies. It actually is kind of like what Scream was to slasher films. It's a tropey film that's tropey on purpose to mock the genre that it's in. And I really love stuff like that. I think this reminds... I think I really liked it because it reminded me of what Scream did for the slasher films. And Scream, make no mistake, revitalized the slasher genre. Now, I'm not saying this film is going to be the one that revitalizes it. Well, most people would argue the one Host on Shudder was a good return to form for these kind of movies. But I do like them trying something different and out of the box. So if you got an hour and like 26 minutes to spare, go check out on Amazon Prime, Untitled horror movie. It's definitely worth your time. I think it's one of those films that as people discover it, they'll be talking about it, and I'm kind of shocked no one's ever done a review on it. So here I am for 2022, bringing you a movie from 2021, but kind of under the radar, and I like to highlight some of these films. So in the comments below, let me know, what's your favorite found footage movie in the past, let's say 3 years? And have you seen this movie? What do you think of this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Also, for the new year, do a villain a favor. Like, share, subscribe, all of the good YouTube stuff. Make sure that you pass around these videos so we can get some traction and really bring up some people into this safe 2022 space. No, I'm just joking. But definitely tell a friend. Let them know that Mr. Zod does the most in-depth reviews. And as always, remember, there is only one rule here in the Phantom Security Patrol car. Kneel before Zod.